You're watching The Language of Business with Greg Stoller.
Seeing sparks fly in your office is bad enough, but in this case, it could be fatal. Al Peckham is the co-founder and manager of Gloucester, Massachusetts-based LectraLock. And Al, welcome to The Language of Business.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
I see on our table that we have outlet covers. Help us to understand what residential and commercial outlet covers are.
Well, LectraLock electrical outlet protectors or covers are actually devices that replace standard wall plates. And once installed, they allow for the attachment of protective covers, in most cases clear. And these covers prevent the plugs from being accessed by children. They prevent the plugs from being damaged behind furniture or machinery. And they also contain sparks if a plug were to short out. The exit holes come out of the side of the parts, which also allows for the plug to be retained in there if the cords are tugged on. We sell these for residential applications as a child deterrent. We also sell them extensively to commercial institutions to prevent the plugs from being crushed behind the beds in elderly facilities or in child daycare centers. We also sell quite a few of these to medical labs and hospitals. In schools, they use the flat plates in hallways to prevent electrical outlets from being accessed. And we've done quite well. We've been selling them for the last 2 years, the extended line on the internet.
Al, what is the typical profile of one of your customers?
Well, the typical profile of a residential customer would be a mother who's just had a child. She's come home from the hospital and she's looking at all the safety devices out there. A product like this, when she looks at something like this, you realize it's important to buy the best there is. And we have a small difference in our price, maybe 10% more than a competing product. But when it comes to a safety product, we think people will realize, no, they want the best. For a small amount more, it's worth it. The typical commercial customer we deal with would be a purchasing manager for say an elderly daycare facility. They'll call us up and they say, we have 200 beds in our institution and we need to put something behind the beds to prevent the plugs from being damaged. What can you do for me on price? That's a typical customer. Or a hospital purchasing manager or a laboratory purchasing manager. Typically, these are the people we deal with.
The focus of this segment is on consumer-facing marketing. How are these sold to the consumer?
We've sold these online through Amazon, eBay, HomeDepot.com, our own website, a number of other resellers for about 2 years now, the extended line. We've done quite well with them. We're in the process now of setting up a national manufacturers rep network. We're doing this to an outside consulting group.
How do you get the attention of your customers?
Well, typically, we have orders that come in from Amazon every day, loads and loads of orders. We put brochures in there, and it's word of mouth. They pass them on, and then we get orders from their friends. It's basically sort of a guerrilla campaign at this point.
How do you do your marketing now outside of your website at Home Depot and HomeDepot.com, et cetera?
That is it. We haven't done any external marketing. We initially had for all the sales with a advertising and marketing company. When we launched it initially, we had the typical SEO, search engine optimization, and that sort of thing. We were listing ourselves in shopping engines and data feeds on the internet. And what happened as Home Depot picked this up and Amazon and eBay, they began introducing their own sales effort into it, and when someone would search for LectraLock, they would come up anyway. So it didn't matter if they came up to our website or where they came up, they'd already trumped us. And we really couldn't overcome that, so we didn't carry that any further. Our next steps are to put together an active campaign of social marketing, social media marketing. That is on our agenda, and it's one of those things that we haven't quite got to yet. It's early on.
And how would that look? Are you going to be tweeting about your products? Are you going to be using Instagram or other vehicles?
It'll be Facebook, tweeting. We need a full-time manager to handle that operation because we're so busy. We wear so many hats right now. We just can't attend to that. We need an additional layer of management ourselves right now just to do that, and that's why we're actively looking for a strategic partner so we can bring that to bear.
Have you found it's better to go direct to the consumer or rely on a middleman like a Home Depot or an Amazon instead?
Well, we found direct to the consumer seems to work better. It's a high-end product. It's a much better margin when we go direct.
Of course.
And the more middlemen in the channel, the more difficult it is to make money on the product, especially where we make this product in the USA and we're keeping the manufacturing here.
I love that these are manufactured locally in Massachusetts and, of course, with U.S. labor. Has that eaten into your margins?
It has somewhat, but now that is offset because if we were to manufacture these, for instance, in China, we'd have considerable freight costs involved in bringing these over. We'd have an additional layer of management involved to handle the logistics of that. We would also have issues with quality control, our UL listing. And we'd have to order very, very large quantities and warehouse large quantities to make it worthwhile. That would really tie up our cash. The way this is set up right now, all in-house molding and warehousing, we can literally manufacture on demand. And that's a huge, huge benefit to us at our present size.
What is your single goal for the business over the next 3 to 5 years?
Well, what we'd like to do is we'd like to extend the product line. We have a number of safety lockout devices based on the same technology, wall outlets where equipment is serviced and the plug needs to be locked out. However, we've addressed probably a larger, more important market than that of the new products, and that is the industrial safety lockout market. And these are very large 240 volt plugs that typically mount on handy boxes, on machinery, and walls. We've developed some new products, they're all patent pending, that will allow us to lock plugs against those boxes. And we're hoping to bring that to market probably within a year.
Al, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Al Peckham, the co-founder and manager of Gloucester-based LectraLock.